welcome to Live from Chef's Apprentice. We are excited to have you all here joining us for our edition of Cinco de Mayo. We know it does not happen until the month of May, but because of time schedules, this was the best time to do it. We wanted to honor and to celebrate Cinco de Mayo before it actually happens. We didn't want to celebrate it after the fact, hence the reason why we are doing it today. So we are excited to have you all join us. I'm going to introduce to you our phenomenal chefs. They've been with us forever and a day doing Live from Chef Apprentice. They come with personality, they come with energy, they come with their talent, their skill set, and creativity. So I'd like to introduce to some, present to others, no other than Chef Tom and Chef Steve. Let's give them a Zoom round of applause.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Live from the Chef's Apprentice. It's an honor to be here today. So today, Chef Steve, we're going to talk about Cinco de Mayo. You know, everybody thinks Cinco de Mayo is about Mexican Independence Day. You know, that's not really the reason they're celebrated. Do you know the reason?
I feel like they won a battle.
They did. They actually, in 1862, they won the Battle of Pueblo against French. And it was a starter for independence for Mexico. So that's why it's Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. So we're going to do all different kinds of Mexican dishes today. And also, you know what else is going on today, Chef Steve?
I think I do.
What's that?
So today, the Culinary 3 class is putting on their drive-through gala today.
That's right. Today is the drive-through gala. And our Culinary 3 class is behind doors, behind me and Steve, and they've been working on it all week. Actually, they've been working on it all semester. The planning process started day one of the semester, and they kind of picked roles, and so now they're getting ready to execute the meal tonight for the drive-through gala. And we actually have somebody out front here that is working on one of the courses. And if you guys can focus on. Okay, well, there we go. There he is. So Bashir, in our restaurant here at the Chef's Apprentice, it's not very often that we actually have an employee who's been with us for 5 years. And Bashir has been with us for 5 years. And when he came on board with us, he was very shy, but he turned into, and he's kind of smiling because he knows he was. And he actually was like a biology major, right? But you know what? Bashir had a skill that you can't teach, and that is he cared about his food, and it reflected in people coming up and saying, I want that guy to make my omelet. Is Bashir here today? So he actually signed up to get a degree in culinary arts right after classes opened up after the pandemic, and Bashir is graduating on May 10th. So we're very, very proud of him. And we hate to see him go, but we know that's part of the birds flying the nest, that they're going to go on and do other things. So Bashir, I actually have something for you here today. You know, I wouldn't lose this moment without. So we're actually giving Bashir an honorary Chef's Apprentice cookbook from the Chef's Apprentice team. It says, Bashir, congratulations on your culinary degree. Please accept this Chef's Apprentice cookbook as a token gift and lasting memory of your time here at HAC. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. We are very glad we got to know you, and we're all very proud of you. All the best. You bet. So Bashir is going to be out here working on his course for tonight, are zucchini cheddar muffins. He's doing the bread course. Am I correct? Okay, so, wow, that's exciting stuff. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for. Okay, so we're going to do 6 different recipes today. Chef Steve is actually going to start off today. We're going to talk a little bit, if you guys can give the zoom shot of the ingredients. We'll just go over some of the things that are up here on the table that everybody is, there we go. So obviously different types of tortillas. These are white corn tortillas. We have flour tortillas, hot sauce, different types of chili powders, ancho, chipotle chili powder. These are some Mexican herbs and spices that we actually get at a store down on Cameron Street called Tres Hermanos. It's a Mexican restaurant that has a grocery store in the back where you can buy authentic Mexican ingredients. Very, very nice people in there. Of course, where would we be without jalapenos, cilantro, green chilies, limes. In other words, these are also chilies. They're just, that's what they call them. So these are some of the ingredients we're going to be working with today. So the first recipe we're going to do today is a street corn soup. So we kind of did it's kind of our own creation. Chef Steve makes most of the soups in the restaurant. So today he's going to make a street corn soup and he's going to tell you how he went about it.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Or afternoon, I guess it more is. So we started out with grilling some corn this morning. We charred it, had some chili powder on it, a little bit of oil. So we tossed that, threw it on the grill to get some nice char on the outside. I don't know if you guys can really see that or not yet. But you got some nice char pieces on your corn. That's what we're going to start with. There's some oil in our pan to get going. Start with our onion. Speaking of Mexican corn, the Culinary 3 class does regional menus, and we've actually had Mexican street corn as a side before in the restaurant. What it consists of is, like I said, we charred the corn this morning. So it consists of charred corn, and it calls for our crema, that you dip that corn in and you roll it, and then you also you sprinkle, you could either put, I've seen it done with Parmesan cheese. You could also do, Stefan, correct me if I'm wrong, cojita?
Cojita. Yeah.
Cojita cheese on it as well. And then they also dust some cilantro on it. And you eat the corn just as like you were eating a cob of corn for like you do for like a cookout. Eat it just like it is a little bit messy, but it sure is delicious. All right, so I'm going to throw in my corn next. I'm going to throw in almost all of it. I'm just going to save a little bit for later on. Also, while this cooks up, I'm just going to show you something else I did as well. In this pot here, I created a corn stalk. Now, what I did is I cut the corn off the cob. I saved the cob so I could show you guys what, what they look like after I cleaned them. So as you can see, still a little bit of pieces down at the bottom, and that's okay. You literally just have the stalk that's left. And what I did is I threw them in this pot of water here and boiled them, I would say about an hour and a half?
Yep.
About an hour and a half we boiled them. And you get some nice rich stock. You could do this for any corn soup that you do. So we do a chicken corn soup in the restaurant. So we would cook the corn, cut the corn off, and then you can throw that right in your soup, and it gives that nice corn flavor that comes out from the stock. All right, as you get this going, I'm gonna throw in some my garlic too. And we coated I don't remember if I said this or not, but we coated the corn this morning with chili powder just to give it a little bit of heat, but not too much. Also going to throw in a little bit of jalapeno, which are all seeded. We're also going to save a little bit of that for the end as well. The jalapeno still adds some heat, but when you remove the seeds, it's not as potent as if you were eating the seeds just as they were. All right, next I'm going to add some lime juice. A lot of the recipes today have lime juice. It's just very It's something that they use in their culture quite often. Next, I'm going to throw in my potatoes. I'm going to pour my stock over this. Now, the stock was already warm, so it shouldn't take long to start to get boiling again. So as this cooks, it'll cook the potatoes and everything else that's in it. Since this is going to take a little bit of time, we're going to move on to our next recipe. I'll slide this out, and Chef Tom, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. I can't wait to taste it.
Me neither.
Yes, sir. Yep. So the next recipe we're going to do is called a pulled pork tostada. So a tostada is like an open-faced taco, and they can be different sizes. They could be the size of a 10-inch tortilla, where you could actually make it look like a Mexican pizza, or they can be individual, which is what we're going to do today. And so this recipe took a little bit of time to make because I had to braise the pork ahead of time. So what I used was, to get it started, I'll tell you a little bit about it, is country style pork ribs. Not sure if you know what that is. They're actually like the ends of the pork loin, and then they cut them crossways, and they're great for braising. So what I did for this pork is I seared it, a little bit of salt and pepper and some chili powder, seared it, added onion, added jalapeno, added slices of oranges on top, and then orange juice actually in the braising liquid, and then I finished it in the oven. So I kind of shredded it a little bit, and it's okay if it has a little bit of char, because that actually adds a little bit of flavor. So what I'm going to do is saute this up and kind of get it hot for our tostada. And this is something that is you can do the pork ahead of time, so you could do it May 4th instead of May 5th, so that you're ready. We're just gonna kind of get that hot a little bit. Just want to warm that up. I'm going to put this back on the burner, and this stuff holds well. I think I had a couple pounds of country style ribs. I probably got about 16 ounces of usable meat for this, and you'll see that this is going to go a long way. So the next thing I did, I'm just going to turn this down real quick here. The next thing I did was I actually took white corn tortillas, which is what these are. You can buy them. I bought them at Giant, so it's not like you can't find them. And I have some parchment paper, and I brushed the corn tortillas with a little bit of oil on each side, and I put them in the oven at 425 for about 5 minutes. And basically you're crisping them up, okay? But they're real soft when they go on there, so you want to have them so that they can support everything that you're putting on them. So we're going to actually put those on our tray. We're going to build these right on the tray. So if you're celebrating Cinco de Mayo, you can actually build these ahead of time for your guests, and then they can come and grab them, and you can keep replenishing as you build them. So I'm going to, I need a spoon, sir. Just put a little bit of salsa down. So almost kind of like we're making a little bit of a open-faced pizza, open-faced taco. So you don't want to use salsa, you want to use picante sauce, you can do that. It's very optional as to what you can do with this. You can make the toppings anything you want. Like I have some shredded lettuce here, but if I didn't want to use shredded lettuce and I wanted to use chopped kale, that would be fine. Be nothing wrong with that. So just a little bit of our red sauce on the bottom. And this kind of helps hold your pork in place as you're building this. So we have some of our pulled pork. I'm just going to put a little bit on each one. You can see there's just a little bit of char on the pork, and that's okay, because that adds a little bit of flavor. So and then we're going to sprinkle a little bit of black beans on here, like so. We'll do a little bit of lechuga, kind of nested on top. Like I said, if you didn't want to use, this is actually green leaf. If you didn't want to use green leaf, you could use finely chopped kale as just a different taste or a different texture. And then last, we're going to put some cochinita cheese on top. So it looks a little bit like Parmesan, but it isn't. Cojita. The J is silent, chef. Yes,
the J is silent.
Now, if you can't find this, you can substitute parm for it. That's fine. But that's a nice little appetizer. It's inexpensive. You get a lot for your money as far as portions. You can see I didn't have to put a whole lot of pork on there. And that's a pulled pork tostada. That's one of our appetizer type dishes for today. So, all right, Chef Steve's going to step in next, and he's going to do a version of pineapple salsa.
While the chefs are changing dishes, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat.
Okay. All right, so like Chef Tom said, we're going to make pineapple salsa, but we're going to do it with a little bit of twist. We're going to throw some cooked shrimp in with it. So here I have pineapple that we diced in a small dice. You see, it's very, when you cut this, you want to make sure you don't get any of the core in there, because the core is going to be very hard to eat. It's not very appealing to the palate. So we cut up one full pineapple. We got some diced red peppers, same size. Some red onion. Jalapeno. The seeds taken out. And we got our shrimp. And this was just cooked shrimp that we got from the grocery store. It was tail on, so you just gotta peel the tail right off. It's cocktail shrimp. So before I add our dressing in, I'm just gonna kind of fold all these ingredients together. As you see, it's nice and bright and colorful. Adds all kind of different textures in there. All right. And for our sauce, for our salsa, some lime juice and some cilantro. And one of the interesting things that we did, I will show you here in a moment, it's off to my right, is we took the bottom half of the pineapple, cut a section of it off, cut the bottom off, hollowed it out, and then put the bottom back on top. So it creates like a pineapple bowl so that you can put your salsa into. Thank you, Chef. And you'll just spoon your mixture right into the bowl. It's very similar to like what we did the other, I think it was last year when we did pumpkin hummus. We carved out the pumpkin, cut off the top, put the hummus in it, and then put a toothpick in it to hold the lid up, and then it's a nice presentation for your dish. All right. Looks great, Chef.
It does. Looks good. Yep. Quick and easy. Because you know the key to Cinco de Mayo is make sure that you can have some food out, but you also want to have some time to celebrate. So. Okay, our next dish is crab nachos.
Boy, does that sound good.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to take just a little bit of time to put together as far as the crab assembly. But if you noticed one of the chips, I just want to talk a little bit about these because we're going to be using the same chips in our nachos. You can get corn chips in the grocery store, different colors, red, blue, white, green, that kind of, or I'm sorry, red, blue, and white. I like flour tortilla chips. I just think they have a better flavor. And so that's kind of what we're using here for the pineapple salsa, and it's going to be the same type of chip that we're going to use for our nachos. And all we did was take our 10-inch tortilla and cut it into eighths, just like you would cut a pie, and then we deep fried them in our deep fryer. Now, if you don't like them fried, you can actually do them in the oven. You just have to spread them out, like on a sheet tray, like with some parchment down, and spray both sides with a little bit of food release, or PAM as they call it. And you can do an oven toasted. That gives you the same result. It just takes a little bit longer. And so if you're trying to watch your fat intake, that's kind of an easy way to do it. So, okay. So real quick here, I'm going to get get a little bit of butter going, and a little bit of oil. Turn that off, Chef. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got some butter going. We're going to melt a little bit of butter, and I'm going to saute my corn. So my ingredients for my crab nachos are corn, which is here I'm just using actually frozen corn that I thawed. If you wanted to use fresh corn, you could do that. If you wanted to cut it off and use fresh corn, by all means, it does have a better flavor. There's any doubt about it. I have some green chilies here that we're going to mix in with this. I also have cumin and chili powder that we're going to use to season this. A little bit of garlic. Some salt and pepper. All right. So we're going to get that going. Get that sauteing. So because I want to bake my nachos, I'm actually going to use a foil pan to do that. It makes it, it's not the most beautiful presentation, but it's functional. So you want to be able to kind of lay your chips out. So we're going to just kind of put this together while our corn's cooking. And this way too, you can take it right out of the oven onto the table for your guests.
So while Chef Tom does that, I have the soup behind me on the burner. I brought it up to a boil. I reduced it to a simmer. Right now, we're waiting for the potatoes to cook, and that's why it's always important to cut all your potatoes the same size so they cook evenly.
All right. So our nacho pan's ready. What I have here is a can of green chilies, nice green chilies. Just about every grocery store has those. They have a little bit of heat to them, but not much.
They're great if you make your own quesadillas.
Yes. So I also have some cumin I'm gonna put in here. A little bit of chili powder, because we gotta get us some seasoning. A little bit of salt and pepper. Neither one of those spices have salt and pepper. So we're gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper in there. Get that going.
Already smells good.
Sure does. Now, if you didn't like corn, but some people don't like corn, you could use black beans, or you could use, you wouldn't have to use, you could just use peppers and onions if that's what you wanted to do. So I also have a little bit of, so instead of, because it's a demonstration, instead of buying really, really expensive crab meat, what I'm using is called imitation crab meat. It's a little more colorful, but doesn't taste quite as good. And we're actually going to warm some of that up in here. It takes about a pound, which is about what that is. So I don't want to mix it up too much. So I want to try to keep the integrity of the pieces of the crab. I also have here a little bit of sour cream I'm going to mix in here. So we're going to break that down. And I have a little bit of cheese sauce. Okay. So Bashir doesn't know it, but Bashir made macaroni and cheese yesterday for the restaurant. So we had a little bit of cheese sauce left over. So he didn't know he was actually making food for our class. He's over there smiling. By the way, Bashir, I failed to mention this. Bashir came to us as an international student from Mayo. So when he graduates in a couple of weeks, he's going to have his colors on. His proud country colors, and we're very proud of him. Okay, so we're kind of mixing this together, and it's going to kind of be a little bit of a, we're going to put it kind of ladled over our chips. So a lot of times people make nachos and they are just salsa and cheese. But this actually has a little bit of flavor that we're going to. So, and it's something that as you make it in small batches, because this kind of liquid will actually, the chips will start to get soggy. So you make it and you serve it and you eat it right away. It's almost like a crab dip.
Say, almost like a crab dip.
Yep.
Easy to the punch, Chef.
All right. So we're just going to spoon this over top. Because everything's ready to go there. We're going to spoon this over top of our tortilla chips. All the guys in IT here are taking a number of who's going to be able to hit the tray first once the show's over. Yeah, it does smell very, very good. Now, if you didn't want to use imitation crab, you could, or you were allergic, you could use shrimp, you could use scallops. If you didn't want to use seafood, you could do chicken or beef or pork, whatever. So the idea is to kind of spread this stuff out. We're going to do a coating of cheese. We're going to sprinkle that on there and we're going to let it melt. And I'm just going to put a few more chips on top so there's some layers to the dish. That way all the chips kind of have a coating, just like that. Now we're going to coat a little bit more of our filling on there. So that's going to go on next. And then our last little bit of cheese, so that we get that covered up. And one of the secret ingredients of this is, because everything tastes better with bacon, a little bit of bacon on top. And I'm going to fire this in the oven, and then when it comes out, I'm going to garnish it with some green onions, and we'll be ready to go. Old guy messy today. He was going to say it. Normally I'm not, but.
All right, our soup is almost there, but in the meantime, while that's finishing up, cooking the potatoes, I'm gonna make cauliflower tacos with an avocado crema. All right. So first I'm gonna start with our crema. I have some avocado that I cut in half, took out the pit, and then sliced it and then diced it once I got it out of the shell. And this is nice and easy. That it would just, you can do it in a food processor. However, I'm just going to use a whisk and break it all up. Because it'll just mash as you whisk it all together. All right, that's almost to where I would like it to. Next, I'm going to throw in our sour cream. And our garlic. Get that mixed up. And as you see, it'll be a little thick, but we're going to add another ingredient to it that should loosen it up a little bit, that you could put it in a squeeze bottle or make it loose enough that you could use a spoon and drizzle it right over top of your tacos. All right, I'm going to throw in some lime juice. This should loosen it up enough that it should make it nice and spreadable. All right. All right, now that that's all done, I'm going to heat up some taco shells for our cauliflower tacos. What I did earlier was I roasted our cauliflower ahead of time to get a little bit of char on it. As you can see, it's okay to have some nice char on it to give it a nice bite. I did this with some taco seasoning, and then I also threw some lime juice in with that as well. So I'm just gonna put that in a bowl so it's a little bit easier to work with. All right. The key to a good taco is always heating up your shells before using them to make them easier to manipulate and to fold. So I'm just gonna get our pan going here. Any questions so far? All right. All right. So I'm gonna take our mixture here. And you just want a little bit in each taco. You don't want a whole lot because then it makes it harder to eat. Probably about, I would say maybe about 2 ounces of your product. I shredded some cabbage, some red cabbage. You're just gonna take a little bit of your crema and go right over top of your taco. Simple and easy. I'm gonna do 2 more.
Chef, while you're doing that,
yes.
I'm going to bring the nachos up.
Of course.
They came out really nice. They look wonderful.
They look yummy.
So I'm just going to garnish them with a little bit of green onions or scallions, depending on how you call it or where you're from. And some fresh chopped cilantro. Just like so.
All right. Just gotta do one more taco here. This would work a little bit better. They make little stands for tacos. It's like almost like a W, chef, I think is what it is. It's like
a zig, yes.
Yeah. That they sit right in there.
The holder.
So it's like a holder and they present a lot better. All right. All right. Okay. And there we have our cauliflower tacos.
Chef, I think your soup is just about ready.
I would think so too.
Put together a slurry here for you.
Okay, thank you, chef.
So
slide this out of the way. All right. What's the last thing we have on the agenda, Chef?
Oh, margaritas. You gotta have margaritas, or it's not Cinco de Mayo. I know what you're thinking. They're not allowed to drink on campus. Well, these are mock margaritas. So they're imagine them being margaritas, which is always fun. So Chef Steve's going to finish up his soup and do his little presentation up here, and then we're going to make these things.
All right.
Get them out of your way.
Transfer my soup up to here.
Chef, we have a question. Can you guys substitute the bacon for cauliflower?
Can you substitute the bacon for cauliflower?
Yes.
That has to be Dave from the bookstore. So
That exactly who it is. Is that a joke?
because he loves BLTs. So he wants, yes, Dave, absolutely, you could. You could actually do a fried pork, a roasted pork belly, which is all bacon is pork belly. If you wanted to do a pork belly taco, you could do that, yes.
All right. So what I did is I threw in the slurry that Chef Tom created. Now a slurry is just a combination of cornstarch and water. You can also do it with flour and water. The only problem with flour and water, it gets very chalky and it's not a very good mouthfeel. Before I brought it up here, I also threw in some sour cream. Adds a creaminess component to it. And then I'm also going to whisk in some cheddar jack cheese. And it won't take long for that cheese to melt because your soup is hot. You could, at this stage, you could use an immersion blender, which is a long wand that has blades at the bottom that you could blend it to add a little bit of, it'll just make it a lot smoother. But today we're gonna actually keep it so that you can see all the nice ingredients in the inside. All right. Thank you, Chef.
Somebody took your cilantro.
I was just looking for that.
Can't trust anybody.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you, Chef.
Towel for you.
Thank you. Wipe off the rim. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of jalapenos on top as well. So I reserved some of the corn for a nice garnish on the top. And a little bit of cilantro.
All right. Looks great.
Thank you, Chef. Slide this out of your way.
Okay. So our last but not least, most exciting dish of the day is we're doing a mock margarita.
I got it, Chef.
Yep. So Chef Steve's going to set up our Vitamix blender here.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is actually clean some watermelon. Doesn't take long. I actually wanted to show you how to do this very quickly. Of course, I have my produce board. This is a seedless watermelon. Didn't cost me a whole lot in the grocery store. Want to make sure your knife is good and sharp. I'm just going to trim the end off here. I'm going to stand it on end. And I'm going to trim off the rind. A lot of people, when they cut watermelon for cleaning, they cut it into like wedges, and then they clean each wedge. This is the easiest way to do this. It's the quickest. And also, if you have young children, most of them like watermelon. If you have it cut up and ready to pop in their mouth, they don't have to mess with the rind. They're much more likely to eat it. And you don't have to commit to the whole watermelon. You can just cut a little bit at a time. And as you clean it, you put it in a bowl and it usually flies off the table. So you saw how quick and easy that was. I just want to make sure I don't have any rind. And then I'm going to cut it just like if I was going to cut an onion. Cut it horizontally. And then I'm going to put a drag through slice here. And I'm going to turn it. I'm going to make cubes. And this is what's going to go in our blender. Very simple. You saw how long that took. This is what you're paying for at the grocery store when you get things already cut up. So we're going to put this in here, and we're going to make sort of like a watermelon puree. Now it is seedless. Of course, that's what they say. Every once in a while there have to be a seed somewhere. You couldn't grow another one. So you may see a seed in there. If you wanted to, you could strain it. So we're going to put that in there. Might be a little bit more than I need. And then I'm going to add, what I made was 2 cups of simple syrup. So it was actually 1 cup of water, 1 cup of granulated sugar. I brought it to a boil, and it makes a simple syrup. That's going to go in here. And then I have a 1/2 cup of lime juice, fresh squeezed lime juice, hence the margarita part. And Chef Steve's going to puree that up. All right. So we have the basis for our margarita. Now, to have a margarita, you gotta have a glass that has a salt rim on it. So what I did was I took a little bit of lime juice and I put it on a paper towel. If you a professional bartender setting, they have it's like a sponge that's moist, and then they get their rim wet, and then they go into to try to get it. Soaked up all my juice. There we go. So the goal is to get this wet, and then you should be able to go into your salt. There you go. To crust it, just like that. Again, get it wet. My wife's a bartender, so if I mess this up, I'd never hear the end of it. So. She'd say, I've shown you many times. So she gave me good training. Again, get your glass wet. And then what my salt mixture is actually a mixture of kosher salt and a little bit of pink Himalayan salt for color. like so. And then our last one. Can we pour out of that? Well, we
I
can
think
try.
it's probably best to use a ladle.
Perfect. And I think there's a plate up there. There you go. Mock Italian. We also have a garnish for the glass. So mock watermelon margaritas. I know somebody's saying, where's the tequila? Well, it's not here. But they are different types of tequilas. And for margaritas, sometimes they make what's called a jalapeno tequila. So if you like your margaritas a little spicy, you can drop a little bit of jalapeno in there. So we're just going to garnish it with a slice of lime, like so. And then we're going to, optional is your jalapeno slice, and Chef Steve's going to line that up right down there, as long as it sits. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, looks great. Does anybody have any questions? Cheers, Chef Steve.
Cheers.
So these are some great ideas to get ready for Cinco de Mayo, which is next Thursday. Some of these recipes we created on the fly, came up with the ideas, and some of them are online. So if you're looking for the ideas or recipes, you can email me at tjlong@hack.edu. Thank everybody for coming in. Congratulations again, Bashir. So those of you who are picking up the gala food tonight, you are in for a real treat. So Cinco de Mayo.
Thank everyone for being here. We appreciate you all. We will see you. Please, if you have not planned on supporting the gala, we invite you to do so. It is indeed going to be amazing. And again, congrats to our student who will be graduating. Good luck in your future endeavors. We wish you well. Don't forget about Hack when you make it big. Remember us. We celebrate you. Thank you all. We'll see you guys again. Check your email for upcoming events and what's coming next. God bless you all.